Hi, you are warmly welcome to our first session of our virtual classroom. This is our first ICT class. I am your instructor, Mr. Jesse Kwateboy Kwote, and I'm going to take you through the topic, Internet Etiquette. Internet etiquette is also known as netiquette. So please, relax as I take you through the valleys and shadows of ICT, where we are going to enjoy ourselves because ICT has been made easy, ICT has been made fun. To begin with our discussion, let's see the objectives. So what are the objectives for our discussion? Now, by the end of this unit, you, dear students, would be able to apply the rules and regulations when it comes to using the internet. You would then also come to know the rules and regulations when you are using the computer laboratory. To begin with, what is internet etiquette? Internet etiquette is also known as netiquette, and it guides us in the proper behavior to show when using the internet. Netiquette describes the widely accepted rules permitted when using the internet. So once you are new to a particular activity, you need to know the do's and don'ts of that particular activity. Same applies to using the internet. In using the internet, there are some laid down principles that we need to apply anytime you are using the internet. So as you, dear students, some of you are new to the internet, some of you have used the internet for some time now. For those who are new to the internet, you are mostly known as newbies. So a newbie is any person participating in a new activity. Thus, a person new to the internet. As a newbie, it is important to know the rules and regulations or guidelines that you need to know in order to browse the internet. So let's delve in to look at some of these rules and regulations that we need to know when it comes to using the internet. As we have discussed in our previous discussion, we said that the internet is described as a global connection of many different types of computer and computer networks that are linked together to share common resources. To expatiate a little on this, what it means is that internet itself is not based only in one particular country, but it is worldwide. Again, every information that we put on the internet, it is not only limited to some specific group of people to have access to, or some small geographical area to have access to. It is a global connection, meaning it is worldwide. Anywhere you find yourself, you would be able to have access to the information. Once the internet is so wide, so global, then it means it contains a lot of information. We all go there to search for our information. That is why there's a greater need for us to really be careful when using the internet. This is why it is important for us to learn internet etiquette that deals with the rules and regulations when we are using the internet. Since there is no central authority that governs the use of the internet, it is necessary to establish rules and regulations that ensure proper use of the internet. So we don't have any policeman on the internet watching what people are doing on the internet. No, the internet is open to everyone. So anyone goes in there to do whatever pleases them. That is why it's important for us to know the basic rules and regulations to follow. Now, what are some of these rules and regulations? So we have, first of all, spam. Then we have intrusion of people's privacy. We have pornography. We have intellectual property rights. We have accuracy. Then avoid the use of offensive language. Then be patient with internet newbies. At this moment, you are going to take them one after the other, and then we try to explain them. Let's start with the first one. avoid spam? Well, we would ask ourselves, what is spam? Spam refers to any unwanted internet message sent by an unauthorized person or companies to promote the sales of their product. Remember, spam are messages that are sent to people. And those people who are sending the message are people we have not authorized them to send us those messages. Once we receive those messages, we refer to those messages as spam because they are coming from people we have not asked them to. And moreover, they are messages that we do not want or we do not have any interest in. Let me give you an example. At times when you are using your mobile phone, you receive a message from an unknown number, 2505, telling you you have won a certain amount of money. Therefore, send a phrase to a particular short code. And if you do so, you would be given that amount of money. And other messages that we receive. Now, these are people to whom we have not asked them to send us any message, and we are not interested in the messages that they are sending to us. So then that constitutes spam. On our social media platforms, it being WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, these social media platforms are prepared to bring friends and family members together. But what do we see when we go on those social media platforms? Even people that we do not know, we end up sending them messages. Now, since we do not know these people and we end up sending them messages, those messages we send can also be referred to as spam because we don't know them, they also do not know us. So this social media platform, when we find ourselves on them, we need to be very, very particular. We are only in there to associate with the people that we know. Again, these are messages sent by people we do not know. Similarly, when we also send random messages to people who we do not know, it is also termed as spam. We must ensure we do not send spam to people we do not know. The next one we are looking at is intrusion of people's privacy. Avoid the practice of spying on other people. Some people have the habit of opening the email accounts of other people and reading their mails. Another example is opening the letters of people or reading from their diaries. This is not a good practice and must be avoided. So your friend gives this or a phone to you and it tells you, look at just this particular thing on my phone. Then the next moment, you try opening the person's messages and trying to find out what is in there. I remember in our previous class when we were creating email, some of your friends were trying to find out what your password is. What would they use them for? Probably later, they might try to log into your email account. That is an example of intruding into people's privacy. It is a bad practice, and then we must avoid that. Another rule or principle that we want to look at is watching pornographic materials. People have used the internet to promote pictures of naked or nude people or people engaging in sexual acts. It is morally wrong and inappropriate to view these things. Therefore, we are being encouraged to avoid pornographic websites and do not reply emails that contain sexual content. A word of caution, these pornographic websites are very, very addictive. And once you find yourself in there, it will be very difficult to come out of it. Since there's no central authority or there's no policeman directing the affairs on the internet, people go on the internet to post these naked pictures or videos that have people performing sexual acts. As a result of that, when we chance on these things, we do very well to quickly close those websites because they would end up affecting us morally. Another one we would want to look at intellectual property rights. Remember in our previous discussion when we were looking at copyright ethics, we said intellectual property, they are the rights that protect the creative works of the mind that have economic value. Now, this right is there to protect people who create literacy work, artistic work, and scientific work. Now, when we talk of literacy work, artistic work, scientific work, we are looking at people who engage themselves in music production, movie production, writing of books, and all those kind of things. They are people who this intellectual property right protects their work so that nobody would get a chance to steal their work. The internet gives people unlimited access to the data and materials produced by other people. Now, since the internet allows people to copy information, they end up distributing the material such as documents, movies, music, software, and pictures without obtaining permission from the creator. The practice of copying and distributing information without the permission of the creator is known as piracy. Remember, if you are being caught, then we look at the effect of copyright infringement. We have fine, imprisonment, or the item will be seized or confiscated. In this case, we do not want to engage ourselves in piracy, where we would gain access to information on the internet and then we try to share. If you remember in our class, we looked at an illustration of why it is important for us not to distribute these materials. We use, for instance, a song creator. For example, Chatawale produces a song and then he posts the song on the internet for people to download. Remember, once that song is being downloaded, then there is an allotted amount of money that will be given to him for his production. So you can imagine if only one person downloads that song and the person shares the song to other people using Bluetooth, share it, or Zenda, would Shatawale be able to make his money? No. As a result of that, he would always lose. That is why there's a copyright law that is to protect it so that this work will not be distributed without their permission. So there's a very nice rule or principle that we would like to follow as we engage in the activities of the internet or when we are using the internet. Next, we want to look at accuracy. Remember we said the internet is a global connection, meaning every information you put on the internet, everyone anywhere can have access to that information. Why is accuracy a very important principle to apply? Since a lot of people are likely to gain access to information that you put on the internet, it is appropriate to ensure that the information you provide is correct and up to date. It is not ethical to put wrong information on the internet. You remember some time back, there was an information on the internet about a president who was dead. Meanwhile, the president had traveled to a different country to receive treatment, but the information circulating on the internet was that president was dead. Another misleading information was when Ebola struck in one of our neighboring African countries. There were information circulating on the internet that there was Ebola in Ghana as well, causing fear and panic. Why did this happen? because people put wrong information on the internet. Therefore, anytime you want to put information on the internet, we need to ensure that the information we are putting on the internet is correct and up to date. Many people who indulge in internet fraud put inaccurate information on the internet to catch the attention of their victims. This is why it is very important to know which website we are visiting, or else people would end up frauding us, or we may end up becoming victims of cybercrime. That's why I always tell you that before you visit a website, make sure the website is secured. Make sure the website is not just HTTP, but rather is HTTPS. That indicates that that website is secured and correct. Again, when we put wrong information on the internet, it is very unhealthy. And anytime we see someone do such a thing, if possible, let's report that person to the police. Let's look at the next rule or principle that we can apply when it comes to the use of the internet. We are being told here to avoid the use of offensive language. Well, when we are using the internet, we may come across people who would like to say things that at the end of the day will end up leading into a fight. We want to try everything possible not to engage in those kind of conversations. When people come up with things that would offend us, we try as much as we can to ignore those messages. That is one way we can enjoy using the internet. So please, in using the internet, please try to refrain from using abusive words. That is another rule we need to put in place. When someone uses abusive words on us, we try very hard to ignore them so it wouldn't start a fight. Our next and final rule that we would want to look at is be patient with internet newbies. Be patient with internet newbies. Remember, we said someone who is a newbie is a person who is new to a particular activity. So we want to be very patient with people who are new to the internet. When they are doing certain things, you may be thinking, oh, come on, this is simple. You can easily do this. Why are you being slow? Let's try to be patient with them. We were once like them. And today we have become used to the internet. So let's allow them to also explore. Let's take time with them. And they too would one day pick up from there. I'm sure up to this moment, we have really learned a lot as to when it comes to the use of the internet, some rules and regulations that we need to put in place or that we need to observe so that we wouldn't end up doing what is not expected of us. And that would also protect us from people who are there to engage in criminal activities. Our next subtopic is rules and regulations for using the computer laboratory. A computer laboratory is a specially designed room or building equipped with computers and their peripherals for teaching, learning, and research purposes. The computer laboratory, like the internet, also have rules and regulations that must be followed to ensure the safety and the protection of both equipment and the students. Now let's look at some of these rules and regulations that we need to follow. 1. Do not enter the computer laboratory without permission from the computer teacher. 2. Do not turn any computer on or off without the permission of the computer teacher. 3. Do not insert diskettes, which we know as a floppy disk, CDs, or pen drive into any computer without the permission of the computer teacher. 4. Avoid installing programs on any computer without the permission of the computer teacher. 5. Do not browse the internet without permission from the teacher. 6. Avoid downloading without the permission of the teacher. 7. Do not watch pornographic materials at the computer laboratory. In fact, do not watch it at all. 7. Do not make noise or disturb during computer lessons in the laboratory. 8. Do not take anything out from the computer laboratory without permission. 9. Keep the computer laboratory neat and tidy. And then 10. Do not send liquid substance to the computer laboratory. And the next, report all problems related to the computer to the teacher. And finally, do not attempt to repair or tamper with any computer equipment. My friends, these are very important principles that we need to follow anytime we come to the computer lab. I know you, dear students, would comply with this principle. All the rules we have learned with regards to using the internet, and then when it comes to using the computer laboratory. In the review, what have we discussed so far? We have come to see what internet etiquette is. We've come to see that they are the generally or the widely accepted rules and regulations that we need to follow when it comes to using the internet. We've also seen some rules and regulations to observe when using the internet. We have learned that we need to avoid spam, sending messages to people we do not know. Avoid intrusion into people's privacy. Stop watching pornography. Intellectual property rights. We have to ensure that all information we put on the internet is accurate, not misleading. Then avoid the use of offensive language. That is, a language that would cause fight on the internet. Then we are also told to be patient with internet newbies. Also, we've come to see some rules and regulations that we need to avoid or we need to put in place or observe when we are using the computer lab. This brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Please note that there will be some questions posted also to you to answer in relation to the topic that we just discussed. These questions will be posted on the 4th of January, 2023. Please watch out for that.